You know, just like the Georgia chapter has, you know, their elections, their volunteer leaders elected, so does the national chapter, the national club. 57 chapters, almost 3 million members and supporters who vote for the leadership. And so we're going to call you in just a second. I totally forgot that we've got 2 other candidates who are here with us this evening. And they are actually both running for the Public Service Commission and District 3, which is, you have to live in District 3, which is Metro Atlanta, and you run statewide. And so in no, you know, order of appearance necessary, I'm going to start my right and go left. Lindy Miller, Lindy stand up, is running for the Public Service Commission, District 3, qualifying next March, and running in the primary, the Democratic primary. The incumbent is Chuck Eaton. So y'all be sure to see Lindy this evening. Thank you for being here, Lindy. And then also Mr. John Knoll, one of our lifetime members. And you know, both have a very impressive background. Definitely would be better than the current incumbents. And so make sure you see them and talk to them this evening and tomorrow as well if you can. So the last 2 things in our program, we're going to hear from our special guest. And if you notice at the bottom of your program, it says, join us on the back patio after the banquet for s'mores bar and campfire. So who are my s'mores captains? Sam, Beth, and Jessica. So raise your hands higher. Higher. Sam, you're a s'more captain. He's not sure. Okay, so when we wind down, we're going to end pretty quickly because we want to make sure that y'all get a chance to go to the bar and freshen up, because we're going to have the s'mores and the campfire, and we're also going to show a very special film right here on the big screen, about 15-20 minutes sort of into the s'mores, Chasing Coral. If you haven't heard, it's on Netflix. It's a very, very good documentary about the coral reef destruction. The same group that did Chasing Ice, that looked at the retreating glaciers. So very moving documentary film. So we'll be showing that here. So you have lots of options this evening. We hope you have a good rest of your...
But first, after the banquet, there's going to be another opportunity to buy raffle tickets.
Oh, yes. When does the raffle close?
You can buy raffle tickets before we do the drawing outside.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jessica. So make sure you get your raffle tickets. Appreciate that. Excellent. All right, so I would like to introduce Ms. Loren Blackford, president of the National Sierra Club. Short little bio here. She presides over an all-female executive committee. Wow. That's the first time. That's amazing. The first in the Sierra Club's 125-year history. She is a member of the Series President's Council, Rachel's Network, NRDC's E2, and Voices for Progress. She previously worked in community development at the Local Initiatives Support Corporation and Living Cities, and focused on international environmental negotiations at the UN Non-Governmental Liaison and the Quaker UN Office. Wow, international. Wonderful, Lauren. And we are pleased to welcome you to the microphone to tell us what's going on at the national level and hopefully inspire us in these trying times. President Blackford, everyone.
All right, Tom Neff there was scaring me. He said he was going to say all sorts of terrible things about me before I started. The Sierra Club got started by bringing people out into nature and showing them how amazing that experience is, how worthwhile that is to protect. What you may not know is that from the very beginning, we also were using art. Did you know that Ansel Adams got his start with the Sierra Club? His very first job when he was still a teenager was working in our lodge in Yosemite, which is still there today. So I urge you, if you have the opportunity to visit it, you can even volunteer there during the summer. People can camp and volunteer there. And his first photographs were published in Sierra Club materials. So just an amazing history. So many people have probably seen that famous photograph of Muir and Roosevelt, as Muir convinced Roosevelt that this incredible place was worth protecting, that nature was worth protecting. But did you know that just last year we had another meeting of presidents? Aaron Mayer, my predecessor, the Sierra Club's first African-American president, shook hands in Yosemite with Barack Obama, the nation's first African-American president. A lot has happened in those 125 years, and Sierra Club has been there. We have been there for so many things over that time. Certainly helping start the national parks, America's best idea. But also, through time, as Rachel Carson wrote in Silent Spring and woke up the world to the dangers of pesticides and toxics, when the Cuyahoga River caught on fire, when Los Angeles and so many other cities filled with smog, Sierra Club was there, and we played a key role in getting the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, to protect our people. In the 1980s, when James Watt launched an all-out attack on the public lands, we were there, and people flocked to the Sierra Club because they didn't want that to happen, and they knew that Sierra Club was the organization you could work with to resist. And then more recently, in the 90s, as too slowly the world began to wake up to the dangers of climate change and of fossil fuels, the Sierra Club was there and launched what is now known as being the biggest environmental campaign of all time, our Beyond Coal campaign. And so here we are today, all of us, and it is now our turn. In this moment, we wear the mantle of responsibility, of leadership. We follow in the footsteps of all of these environmental leaders, all of these activists that have gone before us. And we can only hope that there will be many years, many more to follow. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that there are new activists to follow us. But right now it's our turn. And boy, what a time we have to be wearing this responsibility. We have the curse, as they say, the Chinese proverb, the curse of living in interesting times. And I would say they even on many days feel like apocalyptic times. You think about the hurricanes, the fires, think about the attacks that are once again happening on our public lands. We just had the vote that just happened about drilling in the Arctic, the efforts to scale back our precious national monuments, the attacks on the clean air and the clean water protections that we have fought so hard for so long to put in place. And you think of the attacks also on our democratic institutions, on the things that allow us to do what we do. The attacks on our judiciary, the rule of law is being undermined. The free press, our legislatures, from the state to local level to the federal level, are being hijacked, often by fossil fuel industry money. And the executive branch, well, right now I won't even go there at the federal level. But also attacks on the health and safety of our communities. The toxics, but also the access that people have to health care and to personal safety. We had an organizer, Sierra Club organizer, spoke recently, and she's young, she's a woman of color, and she talked about how some days it was hard for her to come to work and focus on her work with the Sierra Club because she was worried about her kids walking to school in a way that she didn't used to be. With that safety in that very personal and direct way. So our last board meeting, the Sierra Club board members spoke a bit about grief and about hope. I'm feeling in this moment, so many people are struggling. They're feeling this grief about all these things that are happening, and knowing that these storms that we're seeing and these fires that we're seeing, that they're just the start. And we know that if we had accomplished more 25 years ago, we probably wouldn't see some of what we know we're going to see. But we also talked about hope. because there are lots of reasons also to still have hope. And one reason for the Sierra Club is this is what we were made for. Those 125 years, the Sierra Club is a powerful organization to help us rise to the challenges that we now face. And so, you know about the Sierra, you know about our communications capacity, and you know that in this moment, people come to the Sierra Club. Mike Brune is a fantastic public speaker. People want to hear what the opposition has to say, and so the amount of media coverage that the Sierra Club is getting right now, nationally and locally, is incredible. Our digital capacity has increased tremendously. We've invested heavily in that in the last few years, and it's starting to pay off, and we've seen the results of that since the election as our membership has grown dramatically. I encourage you all, if you haven't already tried Add Up, take a look at it. We're really starting to organize, bring digital organizing to complement our really powerful in-person organizing. And many of you know about what a wonderful organizing team, what great trainings we do. We have incredible political work and advocacy work. Sierra Club is the only organization that has lobbyists in every state legislature. We have organizers on the ground in every state all the time, election cycle in, election cycle out. The fact that the Sierra Club is a 501c4 is such a powerful force that we have, and we're finding ways to leverage that. We're going to be investing even more in that capacity at the national level and the local level to do even more. We have the Sierra Club Foundation, which is really getting involved in the finance side and divesting from fossil fuels and investing in clean technologies. We have an incredible legal team. I heard that the Sierra Club is now bringing more environmental lawsuits with partners, but bringing more than any other organization on all sorts of things, on local issues, but also to defend against many of the attacks that we see happening now. And our national campaigns. I've mentioned Beyond Coal now. Beyond Coal, when the announcement was made about the attempt to kill the Clean Power Plan, Mayor Bloomberg reacted the next day by coming to the Sierra Club offices in Washington, D.C. and committing another $64 million, of which probably more than half will come to the Sierra Club's work. We're really stepping up, and we've now closed over half of the coal plants, and we're still going strong. But we're also moving beyond that, and we're taking our different clean energy campaigns and we're merging them together into an initiative that we're calling Clean Energy for All, because that's a big part of what Sierra Club stands for. And so there are a number of things beyond coal. You also heard about Ready for 100. You have a new organizer here. That's fantastic. It's a really exciting campaign that we see cities, and soon it will be beyond cities. We're hoping for school boards and others to commit to going to 100% renewable energy. And it's interesting because this is something that we find is crossing partisan lines. So we're seeing great progress there. We have clean transportation for all. We have big campaigns to keep fossil fuels of all sorts in the ground. We're fighting to move beyond oil and gas. Our Wild America campaign, or sets of campaigns, are going gangbusters right now. We've been bird dogging Zinke as he goes around the country. Wherever he goes, Sierra Club shows up. And we're fighting tooth and nail to defend our national monuments. And so with the additional support that we've gotten since the election, we've also mounted a large resist campaign, and it's cross-cutting. It's helping us pull together different parts of the organization to be able to react quickly, because as you know, every day it's a new thing. And so to help us keep up and respond in a timely manner. But of course, by far, most of all, what the Sierra Club has is you. Its grassroots is the Sierra Club's power. And that is true now more than ever. I went to Paris for the climate summit 2 years ago, which was a high point of hope. But even there, people there knew that what was happening there was only setting the goals, and inadequate goals at that. It was just sort of a starting, it was like the starting gate. But at that time, everybody knew that the real action was at the state level and the local level, and it was civic society that was going to make it happen. Now, sadly, that's more evident than ever. So we saw as the Trump administration announced its intentions to pull the United States out of the Paris Agreement, a huge reaction. All these states and cities and companies and universities stepped forward and said, we're still in. You may be leaving, but you're just abdicating U.S. international leadership. But we will meet those goals, and I am convinced we will meet those goals, and that's because of state and local action. And as they talk now about killing the Clean Power Plan, we hit the market saying, well, we're still going to do it. We hear lots of states saying, we're still going to do it. The marketplace knows that the future is in clean energy, not in fossil fuels. So this will still happen. But the challenge is, will it happen fast enough? And when it happens, will it benefit everybody? And for that, to make that happen, and to meet all of those list of challenges I talked about before, we as an organization and we as a movement have to be bigger and more powerful than we have ever been before. And we're making progress. I think we're over 3 million members and supporters now. People, again, they're flocking to the Sierra Club. We have had more membership growth since the last election than we have ever had in our history. Members, supporters, monthly donors, people, we get what is referred to as white mail, where donations just come in, and you don't know why, and you just know that somebody somewhere woke up and said, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I better give money to the Sierra Club. And our allies also. Of course, it's not just the Sierra Club. A lot of long-standing organizations and also new organizations are rising up, and people want to be engaged. And so we are seeking ways to involve as many people as possible. I'm just curious, how many people here are at a Sierra Club meeting for the first time? Do we have anybody new here? Welcome. So we need all of you. We need all of your family and your friends and all of your networks. But we also need to expand way beyond what we are today. And so a lot of what the Sierra Club is focusing now is our equity, justice, and inclusion work. We need to have a movement that reflects our society. And that means we also need to have more people of color, and we need to have more young people involved, and we need to have more of the people that are most directly affected by the pollution and the impacts of climate change. And so we've decided we are going to invest, particularly in building the organization, making it more effective, figuring out how to make people feel welcome as they come into the organization, to work collaboratively on our goals, but also on our allies' goals. And we're doing this because we have to, but also because the things that we are doing are things that are universal values. We know that everyone deserves clean air. Everyone deserves clean water. Everyone deserves access to nature, ideally nearby nature. Everyone deserves safe and healthy communities. These aren't democratic values. These aren't Republican values. These are universal values, and this is what the Sierra Club stands for. And so we know to change everything, we need everyone. And so I want to thank you for what you're doing. I want to invite you to step up, do more, bring more people in. And I'd love to hear from you about what you think we as an organization could be doing and should be doing to meet the challenge that we face today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, so much.